Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. The Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion, located in Aksum, Ethiopia, claims to hold the most important religious object in history, the Ark of the Covenant. According to Ethiopian tradition, this sacred box containing the original 10 Commandments has been kept here for over 3,000 years. Only one person on earth is allowed to see it, a single guardian monk chosen for life, who can never leave the church grounds. Even the head of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church is forbidden from entering the inner room. The church was first built in the 4th century and has been destroyed and rebuilt several times. The current guardian devotes his entire life to praying before the ark and burning incense. When he dies, he must choose his successor before passing away. While experts continue to debate whether the Ethiopian ark is authentic, the restrictions remain absolute. No archaeologists, historians, or religious leaders from outside Ethiopia have ever been allowed to examine it. Coca-Cola Vault. The Coca-Cola Vault in Atlanta, Georgia, protects one of the world's most valuable business secrets, the original recipe for Coca-Cola. This formula, created by pharmacist John Pemberton in 1886, has been guarded for over 135 years and is worth billions of dollars to the company. Only a few people alive today know the complete recipe, and they are never allowed to fly together on the same plane in case of an accident. The vault is located inside the World of Coca-Cola Museum in downtown Atlanta, but visitors can only see the outside of the secure room. The recipe is kept in a high-tech safe that requires multiple security keys to open. Company officials claim the formula has never been written down entirely in one place, with different parts stored separately to prevent theft. Even top Coca-Cola employees are denied access. The company has transformed this secrecy into a powerful marketing tool, making the hidden formula part of Coca-Cola's brand identity. Despite countless attempts by competitors and scientists to reverse engineer the drink, the original formula remains protected, making it one of America's most closely guarded business secrets. Fort Knox. Fort Knox, located in northern Kentucky, is home to the United States Bullion Depository, one of the most secure buildings on Earth. The depository was built in 1936 during the Great Depression, when America needed a safe place to store its wealth. This fortress holds about 147 million ounces of gold bars worth hundreds of billions of dollars, representing roughly half of America's reserves. The 2-story granite and steel structure is surrounded by multiple layers of protection, including armed guards, electronic sensors, and massive steel doors. Even the combination to the main vault is divided among several people, ensuring that no single person can open it alone. The phrase, "secure as Fort Knox," exists because this facility is considered nearly impossible to break into. No visitors are allowed inside, and no tours have been given since World War II. Even top officials rarely receive permission to enter. The last time reporters were allowed inside was in 1974, and they were permitted to see only a small part of one room. Kalaupapa, located on a remote part of the Hawaiian island of Molokai, was once the world's most isolated leprosy colony. From 1866 to 1969, over 8,000 people with leprosy were forced to live on this windy peninsula, cut off from the rest of the world by towering sea cliffs on 3 sides. People were left on the beach with little help, and had to survive in what was essentially a place to die. The most famous resident was Father Damien, a Belgian priest who came to care for the sick. He eventually contracted leprosy himself and died in 1889. The colony enforced a strict no-contact rule, meaning residents could never leave and families could never visit. Those sent here were even declared legally dead by the Hawaiian government. Despite being alive, they were so isolated that they had to build their own houses, grow their own food, and create their own community from nothing. With medical advances, leprosy became treatable, and the forced separation ended in 1969. Still, some former residents chose to remain in the only home they had ever known. Today, access to Kalaupapa is highly restricted to protect the privacy of the few people who still live there. Visitors need special permission and must join authorized tours or travel for official work. The area is managed as a national historical park, but unlike most parks, tourism is strictly limited. Only a small number of visitors are allowed each day, making Kalaupapa one of Hawaii's most forbidden places. McMurdo Dry Valleys. McMurdo Dry Valleys, located in Antarctica's Victoria Land, is one of the most extreme and restricted places on Earth. This 1,900 square mile region is the largest ice-free area in Antarctica, with powerful winds reaching up to 200 miles per hour that sweep away any snow attempting to settle. The landscape is so harsh and cold that it is often called Mars on Earth, and NASA uses it to test equipment for future Mars missions. Temperatures can drop to -50 degrees, and some areas have not seen rain in over 2 million years. The region features unusual natural phenomena such as blood falls, where iron-rich water flows from a glacier and turns bright red upon contact with the air. There are also permanently frozen lakes and rocks that mysteriously move across the valley floor. Scientists believe that tiny microbes living in the soil and rocks here may be similar to life forms that could exist on other planets. The environment is so untouched that a single footprint or tire track can last for decades. Access is tightly controlled, requiring special permits from national Antarctic programs, a process that can take 6 months or more. Only researchers with approved projects are allowed in, and they must pass medical exams and survival training before being permitted entry. Transportation is provided by military cargo planes landing on ice runways. Visits are strictly limited to protect this fragile ecosystem, making McMurdo Dry Valleys one of the world's most scientifically important forbidden zones. Pine Gap. Pine Gap, located 18 kilometers southwest of Alice Springs in Australia's remote desert, is one of the world's most secret spy bases. This joint American-Australian facility is surrounded by electric fences carrying 8,000 volts and guarded by more than 80 armed officers. It is part of the Echelon program, a global surveillance network run by the Five Eyes Alliance. Photography is strictly forbidden, and anyone attempting to enter is arrested immediately. The base is so secretive that even most Australian government officials do not know what happens inside. Pine Gap plays a critical role in America's worldwide intelligence network, operating satellites that intercept communications and provide targeting data for military operations across the globe. Its 38 white satellite dishes, often called golf balls, monitor nearly 1/3 of the planet, including China, North Korea, and Russia. Public visits were permanently suspended after 9/11, ending the 800 tours that once took place each year. The base expanded significantly in 2020 with the addition of 10 new satellite dishes. More recently, protests over Gaza have led activists to block roads outside Iron Mountain, drawing renewed attention to one of the most restricted and closely guarded sites in the world. Iron Mountain. Iron Mountain, located deep beneath Pennsylvania, is one of the world's most secure facilities. This former limestone mine has been converted into a massive vault that stores priceless documents, artifacts, and digital data. Considered even safer than Fort Knox, it is protected by multiple layers of security, including armed guards, high-tech cameras, and climate-controlled rooms. The underground location provides natural protection from disasters, while an artificial lake helps maintain perfect temperatures. Inside, Iron Mountain safeguards master recordings for major music labels, iconic photographs, historic documentation, and critical legal papers for Fortune 500 companies and government agencies. Its clients range from corporations to private collectors who require the highest level of security. The facility functions like a giant safety deposit box, where only depositors can access their belongings. What makes Iron Mountain even more mysterious is that the public is never allowed to know exactly what is stored there. Visitors cannot enter the storage areas, and employees are bound by strict confidentiality agreements. Mezhgorye, a closed city in Russia's Ural Mountains, is one of the world's most secret nuclear sites. This heavily guarded town has been off-limits to outsiders since it was built during the Soviet era in the 1980s. The Russian government has never fully explained its true purpose, offering different explanations over the years, including mining, food storage, or emergency shelters. Yet construction continued even after the Soviet Union collapsed, suggesting that something vital takes place here. The city lies beneath Mount Yamantau, the highest peak in the southern Urals at 5,381 feet, which provides natural protection from attacks. Western intelligence agencies believe the facility may serve as an underground command center designed to operate during nuclear war. Satellite images show roads, buildings, and infrastructure around the mountain, but the true scale of what lies beneath remains unknown. Access to Medjugorje requires special government permission that is almost never granted. The area is guarded by armed forces and surrounded by restricted zones. Even most officials have no knowledge of what happens inside, making Medjugorje one of the most mysterious places on Earth. Hashima Island. Hashima Island, also known as Battleship Island, is an abandoned coal mining site off the coast of Nagasaki, Japan. Once one of the most crowded places on Earth, it housed more than 5,000 coal miners and their families in tall apartment blocks. Its nickname comes from its shape, which resembles a Japanese battleship when viewed from a distance. When coal mining ended in 1974, the entire population left within months, leaving behind a ghost town that has been decaying for nearly 50 years. The island is filled with collapsing buildings, rusted machinery, and personal belongings left behind. Staircases lead to nowhere and moss covers the crumbling walls. Most areas are completely off limits as falling debris and unstable mining shafts pose serious safety risks. For decades, access to the island was entirely banned due to dangerous conditions. In recent years, limited guided tours have been introduced, but visitors can only walk along a marked path and view the ruins from a safe distance. The majority of the island, including the residential blocks and mining facilities, remains forbidden. Even tour guides must follow strict safety protocols, making Hashima one of Japan's most restricted places. Mount Weather. Mount Weather, located in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, is one of America's most secret bunkers. This heavily protected underground site was built during the Cold War as an emergency command center, designed to allow top U.S. leaders to continue running the country during a nuclear attack or major disaster. The bunker was built to shelter the president, members of Congress, and other key officials for extended periods, while the outside world faced catastrophe. Most Americans have never heard of Mount Weather, despite it being one of the most important backup facilities for the U.S. government. Built deep inside a mountain, it is said to withstand direct nuclear strikes. Inside, it contains everything needed for long-term survival, including sleeping quarters, meeting rooms, communication systems, and food supplies. The complex even has its own power plant, water system, and air purification to sustain life underground for months. Above ground, the site appears to be nothing more than a regular office building, but the real operation lies hidden far beneath. Mount Weather continues to function in total secrecy, with no public access or official details ever released. Nicosia Buffer Zone. The Nicosia Buffer Zone, also known as the Green Line, is a UN-controlled no-man's land that cuts through the heart of Cyprus' capital city. This 2.4-mile-wide strip has divided the island since 1974, when Turkish troops invaded Cyprus and a civil war broke out between Greek and Turkish communities. When the fighting ended with a ceasefire, the United Nations took control of this abandoned area, creating one of the world's longest-standing military buffers. It stretches 111 miles across the island, but nowhere is it more visible than in Nicosia, where it splits the city in two. Inside the zone are empty buildings, deserted streets, and rusted cars left behind when people fled during the conflict. Weeds push through broken pavement, and bullet holes still scar the walls even after 50 years. UN peacekeeping forces patrol the area to prevent new clashes. Barbed wire, concrete walls, guard towers, and warning signs in multiple languages mark the boundary and keep people out. Access is strictly controlled, and only authorized workers are allowed inside. Civilians are banned from entering except at designated border crossings. Over the years, the buffer zone has unintentionally become a wildlife refuge, with animals thriving in the abandoned urban space. Despite decades of peace talks, Nicosia remains divided, making the buffer zone one of Europe's most forbidden places. RAF Fylingdales, located on the North York Moors in Yorkshire, England, is one of the world's most iconic military sites. It is easily recognized by its massive pyramid-shaped radar, visible for miles across the countryside. This facility functions as an early warning system for missile attacks, providing just 4 minutes notice of incoming threats. It forms part of a global missile warning network, working alongside similar installations in Alaska and Greenland to protect against nuclear attacks. The site is tightly restricted, with no-fly zones enforced overhead. In 2024, mysterious drones prompted the deployment of F-15 fighter jets to intercept them, leading to even stricter exclusion zones being established. Although the radar can be seen from public roads, the base itself is entirely off-limits to civilians, maintaining its role as one of the United Kingdom's most heavily secured military facilities.